So what I've got for you today is just a way to help you remember and understand the difference between good and evil, right and wrong. In the gospel, Jesus likens the kingdom of heaven to be a fisherman's net that's brought ashore. The good stuff is taken, the bad stuff is thrown away. Thus shall it be at the end of the age. There is a difference between a profitable haul and literal junk that's good for nothing. Now, there are plenty of people out there who don't like this separation of good and evil. Spiritually, they say that we're creating an artificial dichotomy. We're dividing God into two parts, a duality, and we're failing to appreciate God for the oneness that He is. These people would describe God as being beyond good and evil. Maybe you've heard that phrase before, beyond good and evil. Those folks get points for good intentions, but they're wrong. In the words of one of my favorite Christian writers, your religion must be very generic indeed if you think that God and Satan are two sides of the same person. God is not beyond good and evil. He's good. He is the source of all that is good. Therefore, there is a direction that will take you closer to God, and there is a direction that will take you farther from God. And by the way, that's part of the reason we think of heaven as up and hell as down. Heaven isn't literally up, we all know that. But as limited beings, we kind of need that to visualize that goodness and wickedness are in opposite directions. There is a difference, and we instinctively know that. In terms of morality, human actions, there is right and wrong. Anyone who says that morality is outdated or a social construct is either a fool or a felon. Seriously, either they haven't given it any real thought, or they are subconsciously aware that they have done something rotten and they're trying to get away with it. Now, fair's fair. Morality has shades of gray. Sometimes it is not clear what the right decision is. Sometimes there is no right decision, and you just need to do your best. The lesser of two evils, that might be your only option. I get that. Morality can be subjective and difficult, and it very often comes without a guarantee that things are going to work out, even if you do your very best. But in spite of all of that, morality is not relative. It is not purely the product of our opinions or social expectations. No, there is a factual foundation for right and wrong. And to help you understand that, I want to share with you a turning point in my life. After I watched this episode, I was never again even remotely tempted by the idea that good and evil are social constructs. So the show in question is Joan of Arcadia. Love that show dearly. Love that show dearly. Joan is a high school student, and God literally talks to her in the form of various people, various different people. And it's always for the purpose of helping her grow and be a good person. Like I said, it's a really sweet show. I loved every minute of that. So in one episode, it starts with the family having a garage sale. So Joan pulls out this storage bin thing. She opens it up, and there are some emotionally dark paintings that her mom made in college. And so she's like, "Oh, these are edgy. Mom, I didn't think you had it in you." And right away, her mom and dad both quickly, kind of close it. They put it back in the crawl space. Like, "Joan, we're not selling those at a garage sale. And you know what? Maybe it'd be best if you just forgot that you saw those in the first place." They kind of deflected the whole event. Joan is not a particularly curious high school student, so she forgot all about it, did her own thing. Until later on when God talked to her one-on-one, this time in the form of an older man. And he said to her, Joan, your mom is going through something right now. She's reliving a very painful memory after rediscovering those paintings from so many years ago. And I'm telling you this because you need to be ready. Sooner or later, your mom is going to need to tell you what happened to her because you're her only daughter. So Joan kind of, realizing the significance of that, she's like, well, God, what did happen to my mom in college? Well, one day a man followed her back to her building. He pieced together which dorm was hers, and in the middle of the night, he snuck into her room through the window. Well, then what happened? It was evil, and I don't throw that word around. I want you to remember that. Like, that's the sort of thing I want you to pop into your head when someone has the audacity to tell you that morality is relative. No. There are some actions that are evil. They will always be evil. They will never be permissible or acceptable in the eyes of God. And once you get that, if you're able to apply the tiniest, littlest scrap of logic, you will come to understand that if some actions are truly evil, then other actions must truly be good, because one doesn't exist without the other. Good and evil, these are not products of our imagination. They are parts of reality, and we participate in them, or we refuse to participate in them. When a man commits sexual assault, he has done evil. It doesn't matter what he believes. It doesn't matter if he's justified it to himself somehow. It doesn't matter if all of America thinks he's a really great guy. He has done an evil action, and nothing will change that. To this day, I have not yet met a relativist that was able to successfully argue for sexual assault. Who even wants to do that, right? So what direction is your life taking you? Are your actions bringing you closer to God, or are they taking you farther from God? I know that can be a scary question. It's important, but it's a scary question. But I'll tell you this right now, one of the great things about being Christian, if you don't like your answer for that question, you can change direction in life. Because God isn't just the source of all good, He is the Father of mercies. So if you're ashamed of something you did in the past, if you're afraid that maybe you're a bad person, God is waiting for you to make a fresh start and to realign yourself with Him. If you don't know how to do that, there are 3 things in any church that are specifically designed for that function. You pass the baptismal font on the way in, the confessional's in the back corner, altar of Christ, of course, right in front of you. And if you're afraid that the task of realigning yourself to God is just impossibly difficult, don't be afraid. Do not worry, because the price of your eternal salvation, it's already been paid by an act of true goodness, by ultimate goodness Himself.